Welcome to another edition of Fight News Now Extra. I'm John Pollock, soon to be joined by John Ramdina and Robin Black. And what are we chatting today? Well, Michael Bisping is extremely confident going into UFC 159. A fight organization not named the UFC is coming to New York. And lightweight George St-Pierre. Does that make any sense? Let's get to the news. UFC middleweight Michael Bisping looks to rebound from his loss to Vitor Belfort in January when he meets Alan the Talent Belcher in this Saturday's UFC 159 co-feature. Bisping and Belcher have done a great job generating interest for this fight. Bisping recently spoke to MMA Weekly stating it's a formality for him to simply show up and beat Belcher. In a separate interview that I conducted with him today, Bisping stated he would like to fight in October for a yet-to-be-announced card in Manchester, England, and also fight one time prior to that card. UFC welterweight champion George St-Pierre appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience this week, promoting his new book, The Way of the Fight. When asked about the always elusive super fight with Anderson Silva, St-Pierre noted how big Silva is, and it's a lot of weight for him to put on, and going to lightweight would be a lot more easier for him than making 185. Perhaps Benson Henderson will get his wish, but I significantly doubt it. And the Glory Sports International Kickboxing Organization is set to hold their first event in the state of New York, announcing a date for June the 22nd at the Hammerstein Ballroom, which is right around the corner from Madison Square Garden. Glory has already announced a main event for the card with 46-9 Daniel Ghita taking on 28-8 Bryce Guidon. A poster has been leaked that is promoting 6 super fights along with an 8-man 209-pound tournament for the show. And we're joined by John Ramdina and Robin Black. And first off, let's touch upon George St-Pierre for the first time, kind of dangling that carrot about moving down to lightweight, something that, as much as we talk about George St-Pierre, it seems that this is an either-or concept. To me, he's the top welterweight in the world, and I am firmly planting my flag in the camp of sticking at welterweight.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There are so many good matches for George St-Pierre.
Tons.
I know a lot of people talk about Rory McDonald, but there's so many fights. I mean, you could have a rematch with Nick Diaz. I think that would spark interest. Jake Ellenberger is there. Yeah, really, if Martin Kampmann is there.
And who makes more sense between St-Pierre and Rory McDonald to move to middleweight?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, both guys are about the same size, but Rory's 23 or 24, so who knows when this guy becomes closer to 30 years old, what he'll look like.
Yeah, Rory, I think, is just, when you see them together, Rory is bigger than George. But realistically, I think George can make 155. He absolutely can. And I'm kind of following that implication that people have been dangling that he's only going to fight a few more times. And if that's the case, one super fight on your way out would be a lot of fun. If he walks around at 190, Benson Henderson probably walks around at 185. Achieving 155 for George St-Pierre these days, he doesn't do explosive weightlifting anymore. He doesn't do any weightlifting, does gymnastics, does track and field, does all of these things. He is getting to the borderline of being a smaller 170 anyways. Diet off 5 or 6 pounds and cut a little more aggressively, boom, he's 155.
What does your gut tell you, John, his next fight? Johnny Hendricks, Anderson Silva, or other?
No, Johnny Hendricks is definitely his next fight. He talks about the size of Anderson Silva, and for anybody who's been around this guy, he is enormous. The guy's got a gigantic head, and he walks around somewhere at 230 pounds or close to that. He's just too big. I've heard it from George's camp, and that's the reality of things. As much as the casual fan wants to see that matchup, from a physical standpoint, it just doesn't make sense.
And from George's standpoint and his team's, I think he can run through Benson Henderson. And I think Anderson Silva's a whole different ballgame. So if you're ever going to have one, on your way out, let's have a super fight, grab another title, and ride off into the sunset. 155 is a better choice.
Michael Bisping, as he told me, hoping to get in 4 fights in 2013. Very ambitious for a 34-year-old. He's going into Saturday's fight with Alan Belcher, where I really feel that these two have commanded a lot of attention here. There may not be that interest for that main event, but to me, Bisping-Belcher, it's an interesting fight, and these two have done, I think, a great job just online and through the countdown show, the conference call, especially on Bisping's part, of making you interested to see this fight.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's because they're both confident. They're both confident in their own skills, and they're both very, very confident they're going to be able to take out their opponents. And I think stylistically, that's what it comes down to. Both guys very evenly matched. I know Alan Belcher probably believes that he is the better Muay Thai guy, opposite Michael Bisping. Bisping, I'm sure, believes that he's the better stand-up guy as well as the better ground guy. So it's going to be kind of a pissing contest to see see who has the better or the more well-rounded skills, so to speak.
Yeah, and the promotion has been fantastic. And Michael Bisping doesn't make up stuff. He doesn't try to promote fights. He just allows himself to be passionate. If he's pissed off, he lets himself be pissed off. I think we see a lot of these guys over media trained, and then they try to promote a fight, which is kind of nonsensical and weird. This guy just says what he's thinking, and he goes for it. But you don't have to excite me to be into this fight. These guys are both exceptionally great athletes. I think Bisping has real reason to be confident based on his last number of years, where Belcher came off an eye injury, he's been up and down. Belcher can absolutely win this fight. If he's truly confident, he can win this. It's a good one.
And I would argue that for the loser here, big stakes here, because 2 straight losses, especially at where they are in their careers, I would say removes them from any championship picture. I think there's a lot of incentive here for the winner and a lot of stakes up for grabs here for the loser as well.
Yeah, Robin said it. For a while, the unfortunate thing is they're still top guys. Michael Bisping, even if he loses, say he loses a decision to Alan Belcher in a competitive fight, well, what did he really lose? You know, he's losing to a guy that's at the top of his game, but unfortunately, what happens is he gets bumped down to the bottom of the middleweight chain, and the middleweight ladder, and he's going to have to climb himself up with probably 3, if not more fights before he gets a crack at the 185-pound strap.
Bisping's in his mid-30s now. It is now or never for this guy. He wants to fight for a title. He's made a ton of money. He's hugely famous in Britain. Man, if this guy wasn't English and didn't offend people early in his career, everybody would love this guy, and they should.
Last point that I want to make, June 22nd, Glory is coming to New York, making wrestling legal, grappling legal, and now easily the most dangerous of all combat sports, kickboxing, all legal within New York. We put them all together and call it mixed martial arts.
Nope.
That's a no-go.
Yeah, for some reason, but I disagree with you. I think boxing might be a little more dangerous
than
kickboxing. That's what some people say. But it's all, yeah, exactly. I get it. You're being kicked in the head. It's an excellent move for Glory. I mean, I think it's going to be I think a lot of people are going to get behind this organization if they see it live.
There you go. You can watch the UFC if you're a New York resident. You just can't watch it live. I don't know. It makes no sense to us. Fight News Now Extra continues.